What's up, everyone? Let's get into what's shaping up to be one of the more intriguing NBA off-seasons in recent memory. Not because of blockbuster trades or superstar signings, but because of all the weird, cryptic, and behind-the-scenes moves that might shake things up when a regular season tips off in just about 6 weeks. Yeah, it feels quiet now, but the storm's coming. And in the middle of that storm, the Boston Celtics. Even in the dead of the off-season, somehow, they still manage to be in the mix, whether directly or through the domino effect of what's happening elsewhere. Let's talk Philly for a second, because, man, it's getting messy over there. Kelly Oubre Jr. dropped a passive-aggressive bomb on Instagram. Classic off-season behavior for a frustrated NBA player trying to send a message without calling a press conference. And look, Oubre's message wasn't subtle. He basically said he loves Philly, but the love's not being returned. He talked about playing through multiple finger injuries, about still putting up numbers despite a dip in shooting percentage, and made it clear he felt underappreciated. The guy put his soul into the Sixers, and now it seems like he's on his way out. And here's the twist. This whole Oubre situation, it might actually open the door to a Celtics angle, even if it's not front-page material. Philly's trying to scrape together enough financial flexibility to retain Quentin Grimes in restricted free agency. And that means someone like Oubre, who's on an expiring $8 million deal, suddenly becomes a financial chess piece, not just a basketball one. Teams looking to create some cap space or shuffle their books for future seasons are going to be circling around contracts like his. Enter the Boston Celtics. No, I'm not saying the Celtics are about to go all in on Kelly Oubre Jr. This isn't that kind of hype. But when you look at the numbers, and this is where things get interesting, Oubre's expiring deal could theoretically fit into Boston's books without causing total financial chaos. Would it be a winning move? Not necessarily. But a smart move financially? Absolutely. Especially for a team that's tiptoeing around the tax apron and looking at options for in-season flexibility. Now, obviously, if you're a Celtics fan, you're not trading away someone like Sam Hauser just to bring in Oubre. Hauser's younger, cheaper, and a legitimate sniper from deep, even if people were frustrated with his playoff inconsistency. And that's the thing. Hauser has actual trade value. Real trade value. The kind of value that might net a legit asset closer to the deadline, especially as contenders start looking for shooters. You don't toss that away in September for a role player with a shaky defensive record and an expiring contract, no matter how athletic or flashy they may be. So while the Oubre situation might not directly impact the Celtics right now, it's part of a larger conversation around restricted free agency and the ripple effect it's having across the league. We're seeing it everywhere. Cam Thomas just took a qualifying offer for $6 million, a low number considering his scoring punch. Meanwhile, Josh Giddey locked in a 4-year, $100 million deal with the Bulls. That's $25 million a year. And while some people think that's a fair number, others are scratching their heads wondering if the Bulls overcommit to a guy who still hasn't fully proven himself in a winning context. These deals matter because they help set the market for players like Quentin Grimes, who Philly is desperately trying to keep. And Grimes quietly had one of the best second halves of any role player last season. Once Philly was dealing with all those injuries, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Grimes stepped in and straight up delivered. He was averaging 25, 5, and 5 over the final stretch. That's not a typo. That's not an exaggeration. Those are real numbers. The kind of production that makes front offices panic and wonder if they can afford to let a guy like that walk. So what does that mean for the Celtics? Again, this isn't a go-get Grimes type of thing. But when other teams start locking up their restricted free agents, when they start shifting contracts, moving pieces, trying to dodge the second apron or squeeze in one more signing, that's when opportunities can pop up. And Brad Stevens has been elite at waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Whether it's a trade exception, a buyout candidate, or just scooping up value where other teams are being reckless, the Celtics front office is playing the long game. And honestly, thank God for that. Because when you look around the league, Golden State especially, it's hard not to feel a little grateful for how the Celtics are handling things. The Warriors, man. What's happening there? Jonathan Kuminga's situation is turning into a full-blown saga. He still hasn't signed his qualifying offer. Golden State hasn't made a single move this offseason. Not one. And while that might not sound crazy for a team that's already loaded with big contracts, it's got real consequences. Because now you've got veterans like Al Horford just sitting around, waiting for Golden State to get their act together. Word is Horford is ready to sign a deal with the Warriors, a short-term, team-friendly contract. But he can't do that until they sort out the Kuminga mess. And if this drags into October, it becomes a problem. Horford's not some rookie looking to prove himself. He's a seasoned vet. He wants clarity. He wants to know where he's going to be. This situation also highlights something else that Celtics fans should appreciate: stability. The Celtics don't always make flashy moves. And yeah, some of the deals like Jaylen Brown's Supermax or the Porzingis extension had people raising eyebrows. But at least they're decisive. At least there's a plan. In Golden State, it's like they're paralyzed. They won't play Kuminga, won't trade him, and they might end up lowballing him on an offer that forces him to walk next year. Meanwhile, Horford's just stuck in limbo, and the Warriors are burning time they don't have. Because let's be real, the window for Golden State is closing fast. Steph's still elite, but the rest of that core is aging, and the teams around them, they're all getting younger, faster, and more dangerous. OKC just paid their young core. Denver's not going anywhere. Houston's loading up. The league's evolving, and Golden State is sitting still. Back to Horford for a second. He's not the same guy he was 5 years ago, sure. But if he's in the right role, limited minutes, smart rotations, not being asked to anchor a team every night, he can still contribute to winning basketball. We saw it last season. He had his moments in the playoffs. Not a star, but solid. Dependable. And if Golden State is smart, they'll lock him in before someone else swoops in and gives him a better pitch. So yeah, all of this, Oubre's drama, Grimes' breakout, Kuminga's standstill, Horford's patience, none of it is directly about the Celtics. But all of it impacts the ecosystem the Celtics are living in. Every contract signed, every deal avoided, every roster hole left unfilled, it shifts the balance just a little bit. And if you think Brad Stevens isn't watching all of this with a long-term plan in mind, you haven't been paying attention. Let's keep this going because there's a lot more happening beneath the surface of this quiet NBA offseason. For Boston, things may feel still right now, but make no mistake, they're not done. Whether the next move comes before training camp or later in the regular season, there's a sense that something's brewing. And honestly, that's the luxury you earn when you're coming off a championship season. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to chase headlines. You just sit back, watch everyone else scramble, and wait for the right opportunity to upgrade. And let's not ignore this part. Opening night is against Philly. That's why all this Sixers drama matters. If Embiid is back in shape and ready to go, which according to reports, he is, then that game sets a tone. And what better way to kick off a title defense than taking down one of your biggest rivals on their home floor? The Sixers are trying to figure out if they even have enough healthy bodies and cap space to finalize a roster, while the Celtics are just fine-tuning what already looks like a juggernaut. Still, there's this weird tension surrounding the Celtics, probably because some people out there still can't accept how good this team really is. It's like they're looking for reasons to poke holes, to nitpick, whether it's Jaylen Brown's handle or Tatum's playoff inconsistency or the money handed out in recent deals. It's like people forget that, in this league, building a sustainable winner isn't about hitting a home run every offseason. It's about consistency, development, and showing up when it matters most. And Boston's done that, year after year. Let's look at this for what it is. Tatum and Brown have taken a team to multiple Eastern Conference Finals. They've been to the NBA Finals twice, and now they've got a ring. That's not just hype. That's not media spin. That's production. That's legacy and progress. You look around the league. How many other duos have done that over the last 6 years? The answer is almost none. The only team with more playoff wins than them in that span is Golden State, and even that margin isn't huge. The numbers are wild. Since 2018, the Celtics have won 72 playoff games. Let that sit for a second. That's more than Milwaukee with Giannis. That's more than Denver with Jokic. And it's not just because they played more series. It's because they've been good enough to consistently make deep runs. That kind of consistency is incredibly rare in today's NBA. where teams turn over rosters every other year and chase short-term results. Boston? They've kept the core together, added complementary pieces, and built something real. And yet, people still act like they have something to prove. Maybe it's because Tatum isn't as flashy as some of the other stars. Maybe it's because Jalen gets criticized every time he has a rough game. But it's time to stop pretending this duo doesn't belong in the elite tier. They're champions. They've carried this team through every kind of playoff scenario imaginable. Game 7s, sweeps, comebacks, heartbreaks. They felt it all, and they came out on top. That's why when national rankings drop and you see Tatum behind guys like Jalen Brunson or Donovan Mitchell, it's hard not to laugh. Like, are we really doing this again? Tatum might not have the most highlight reel moments, but he's one of the most complete players in the game. Defense, offense, rebounding, playmaking, he does it all. And Jalen, for all the criticism, has been one of the most durable and productive two-way wings in the league for years now. The dude was putting up 27, 7, and 3 without Tatum on the floor. Those are legit All-NBA numbers. That's top 10 territory when he's the number one option. And here's another layer to this offseason that people aren't talking about enough. The Celtics' young core is quietly being evaluated in real time. Guys like NIKOLA, Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman, these aren't just roster fillers. They're part of the long-term plan. If one of them pops, that changes the calculus completely. Let's say Quetta shows real starting center potential. That could mean the Celtics don't have to invest big money at that position next summer. That flexibility opens up space to either bring back someone like Simons or spend in another area of need. Speaking of Simons, his contract situation is worth watching. At $27 million a year, it's hard to see Boston paying that full freight going forward unless he shows something game-changing this season. The front office is being cautious. He's basically on a prove-it deal at this point. If he can find a role, fit the system, and deliver in big moments, maybe he earns a second deal, maybe something more in the 15 to 20 million range. But as it stands, that 27 number is a non-starter unless the cap jumps significantly or Boston sheds other salaries. And that's the big challenge in this new CBA world, balancing talent with cost. You can't just keep stacking up stars unless you're willing to live in the second apron with all the penalties that come with it. That's why guys like Sam Hauser are so valuable. He's productive, under contract, and cost-controlled. That's gold in today's NBA. You need those role players who can contribute without blowing up your cap sheet. And it's why Boston probably won't move him unless the return is undeniably worth it. There's also this undercurrent of Celtics fans worrying that the team isn't doing enough this offseason. But let's be honest, the biggest moves already happened. This roster is deep, balanced, and championship-tested. Porzingis is back healthy. Derek White is coming off the best season of his career. Drew Holiday brings stability on both ends. And if anything, Brad Stevens is just holding one last roster spot for the kind of buyout candidate that becomes available mid-season, someone who can give you 8 solid playoff minutes when it matters most. But don't sleep on the Tillman factor either. Xavier Tillman didn't have a great run last year, but word is he's locked in this offseason. Focused, re-energized, and if he can bounce back, that's another piece that gives Joe Mazzulla flexibility when it comes to front-court matchups. Maybe he doesn't crack the regular rotation every night, but in the right series, he could be a difference maker. That's the beauty of depth. You don't need every guy to be perfect every night. You just need them to be ready when their number's called. So while we wait for the final move, or the final piece to fall into place, what we're seeing for Boston is a front office that's not chasing chaos. They're not reacting to the noise. They're playing with clarity, letting the rest of the league show their cards before making any tweaks. That's how you build a sustainable contender in this era. Not by panicking in September, but by knowing your window is wide open and making sure you're ready to pounce when the right opportunity shows up. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The NBA world is buzzing with whispers that could shake the league to its core. NIKOLA JOKIĆ, the Serbian superstar and two-time MVP, is reportedly on the verge of signing a 3-year deal with the Boston Celtics. While no official confirmation has yet been released, sources close to the situation suggest that the Celtics front office has been working tirelessly behind the scenes to lure the Nuggets big man to Boston, creating a stir that has fans and analysts alike speculating about the Celtics' future championship aspirations. JOKIĆ, known for his uncanny basketball IQ, versatility, and playmaking ability as a center, has long been considered one of the most unique talents in the NBA. The idea of him donning the green and white jersey immediately sends imaginations running wild. Could he form a deadly trio alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? How would head coach Joe Mazzulla adjust his strategies to maximize JOKIC's exceptional passing and scoring ability in the Celtics system? These questions are now the talk of sports radio and social media, with fans debating every possible scenario. The rumor has sparked comparisons to other league-altering moves in recent memory, reminding many of the Celtics' historic trades and signings that reshaped the Eastern Conference. Critics, however, are quick to point out the financial and roster challenges the Celtics would face in making this dream a reality, suggesting that while the talks are exciting, nothing is guaranteed. Still, the mere possibility of adding a player of JOKIC's caliber to an already formidable squad has sent the city of Boston into a frenzy, with chants of Celtics Nation trending online and speculation running rampant across forums and fan pages. While Denver has yet to comment on the situation, insiders hint that negotiations are progressing smoothly, with JOKIC reportedly impressed by the Celtics' vision and commitment to immediate contention. If finalized, this move would not only alter the balance of power in the East, but also redefine what it means to build a modern NBA team around a generational talent. For now, fans can only wait and watch, keeping a close eye on every tweet, press conference, and cryptic social media post for the slightest hint of confirmation. One thing is certain: the rumor alone has already electrified the league, and if it comes true, Boston could be on the brink of its most audacious chapter in decades. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.